So Sam invited me out for a milkshake. So I packed my things and I went to the yard. And I guess he invited me out for this milkshake because he's not like other boys, because he's sober, and I'm not like other girls because I can digest lactose. So I arrived at this milkshake. I still had no idea what it meant. I had no idea whether to prepare myself for a date or whether to prepare myself for something more friendly or formal. I had no idea. But the second we sat down, it didn't really matter anymore because the conversation was so easy and it was so fun. It was the most fun I ever had in my life. We were bonding over all the things bisexual people bond over, like the price of hair bleach, or our coming out stories. It turns out we came out the same exact way. We sat our parents down and kissed them both on the mouth. It was honestly amazing. Like, he was also into all the Ho Culture disciples, except for me, Avril and Alanis were women I grew up with. And to him, Avril and Alanis were classic rock. And at the end of the day, we stood up, realized we never actually ordered anything because bisexuals famously cannot choose. And as we were walking out, I was still thinking, I can't tell what this is. I don't know if this is a date or not. I had such a nice time, but I don't know what he's thinking. And as I was thinking this, he grabbed me by the shoulder and he kissed me. And then he said, "Where do you live?" And I said, "We're about 5 minutes away from my house." And he said, "We can be 0 minutes away from your bed." Which should tell you how hot he is, because he totally got away with it. And in my head, I was like, yay, he wants to have sex with me. But in reality, I had to be like, no, I'm shy. But I wasn't shy. I just had Sebastian at my house tuning his guitar. Because, you know, I did that thing where you go out for the night and you're not sure if it's definitely going to happen, so you line up a sure thing because you don't want to waste a shaved pussy. I was the victim of my own over-preparedness. And so I had to leave, right? And then after that, I had to go back on tour. And a few days later, I found myself in the city of Leeds. You guys like Leeds? It's a city. And I was doing that thing in Leeds. I don't know if you know this. You go to a pub, you see a straight couple, you start chatting to them, you start taking shots, you start making out with the girl as a joke. And then halfway through the kissing, you turn to the guy and you say, "I'm cucking you right now." It's a great way to see a new city, okay? So I was out and about seeing the sights of Leeds when I got a fire react emoji to one of my Instagram stories from none other than Sam. And I wanted to use this as an opportunity, okay? Because I realized that I was sending him mixed signals. I didn't say hi to him after the student comedy competition. I said no when he asked to come home with me. I didn't want him to think that I wasn't interested, because I was interested. And baby, I was interested. I was scrolling so far back in his Instagram, okay? I was so far back in his Instagram. You know when you scroll so far, you know they have a melanoma before they do? I was doing every Google search under the sun. I was like, Sam, last name ISIS, right? You need to check if he'll always come second with it. I used to say his actual last name, but now I have to say last name to anonymize because this is being recorded. But is it more confusing when I say last name because you think his last name is ISIS? Because his last name is not ISIS. And he's not an ISIS. Let's just make that perfectly clear. Although ISIS needs LGBTQ representation. Okay, not the message of this show, okay? So I really wanted to let him know that I was interested. And so I sent him the following message. He was in Wales at the time. This will become relevant. I said, "I hope you're having a wonderful time in Wales. I'm having a wonderful time not thinking about you at all." Winky face. Which is the international sign for open throat. And Sam came back with this.
Same. Handshake emoji.
emoji. Like it's fucking linked in. I sent him an open throat and he pleasured doing business with you, man. The indignant, he sent me a handshake emoji? And look, okay, reading that is devastating, but I need to tell you what it felt like to receive it at the time, okay? So you know how guys who like small tits think they're intellectually superior? Men who are like, big boobs, not for me, too gauche. So I'm quite flat-chested, so I've mostly dated readers, right? And what I've learned from dating all these intellectuals is that next time, ladies, don't ask him if he has any STDs. Ask him if he's read Zizek. Because you can get rid of an STD. You can't get rid of ideas. And so what was so refreshing about Sam, what was so mind-boggling about Sam was that Sam was completely and utterly unpretentious. He was so completely unpretentious when he told you about his favorite Jack Reacher book. Or asked you what your favorite Ariana Grande song was. That it made you want to stop pretending. For the first time in my life, I could stop pretending that I had a favorite strain of weed. Or that I had a favorite Beatle. It's Yoko! Yoko is my favorite Beatle. I wish she Yoko'd more bands. I wish Yoko'd Imagine Dragons. So with any other person, if I read that text message, I'd say, oh my God, they're clearly not interested, or they're playing some sick and twisted mind game. With Sam, and only earnest, unpretentious Sam, did it genuinely feel like he just wanted to shake your hand. But I couldn't think about it too much, because I woke up the next morning with a giant lump on my throat. You can touch it on the way out. And I obviously thought, I've hoe culture too close to the sun. So I made an appointment with my GP, and before I get into that, can I just say that the NHS is the greatest invention on this godforsaken island. Everybody who works for the NHS is a saint. Sadly, the NHS is terribly underfunded, and everybody who works for the NHS is terribly overworked. And it is because the NHS is so underfunded, and because all of the NHS workers are so overworked, that the bedside manner of some NHS employees may at times be a little bit avant-garde. So I show up to my GP with my giant lump, and the very first thing she says is not hello, not how are you. She just looks at me and she goes, you think it's cancer. Reader, I did not think it was cancer. So now we're both in a panic because we have no idea what this thing is, right? I go for an ultrasound because maybe conjoined twin. Arguably the most hoe culture thing of all is your twin dying on you because she'll never be you. Inconclusive, have no idea what it is. She's like, let's go take a biopsy, autopsy. Biopsy, the one where I'm not dead. The thing, when they take a little piece of you as a souvenir, right? So she sends me to another doctor, this new doctor, she lays me down, she gets out the biggest needle I have ever seen in my life, and she starts sticking it into my neck. And as I'm lying there, trying to distract myself from the biggest needle I've ever seen, I try scrolling my phone, just not to think about the giant needle in my neck. And as I'm scrolling to distract myself, I get the following text message from Sam.
Hey Olga, I just wanted to say, is it alright if this stays platonic? I think you're amazing and I don't want anything to complicate our friendship because you're a lovely person and it's so much fun having you in my life. Hope you're having a good day. Heart emoji.
Marcus, none of that was written down. What the fuck? No, thank you for reading that. He wanted to protect our friendship? You know friendship, when you've met twice and one of them you beg them for a threesome? Best friends forever. So obviously when I receive this essay, I start bawling, I'm crying, I'm hyperventilating with a needle in my neck. I'm enjoying it a little bit because I love being the main character. And as I'm crying, the doctor looks over and I kid you not, verbatim goes, sometimes I forget you're people and not pin cushions. I don't have cancer. My original GP called me, and the conversation word for word went. She was like, you don't have cancer. And I said, thank you so much, have a great day, goodbye. And she went, thank you so much, have a great day. It could be syphilis. Click. Syphilis? That's not hoe culture, that's harlot culture. But also relax, I don't have syphilis either. But if I did have syphilis, how do you think I got it? And the cherry on top of the entire experience was, you know when you go to your GP and they write down everything you say and they send it to your address? I opened this piece of paper, and instead of stand-up comedian, she wrote standard comedian. Standard comedian. I haven't even raped anybody.